Okay, so here's my first attempt at doing I guess a voiceover. So my daughter and I yesterday we went to the the hills around us, and we decided to do a little hiking and look for some mushrooms early, start scouting our places, and start um, you know uh, getting better at foraging. And so we were out and about, and we found a whole bunch of different kinds of mushrooms out. But I did find a really nice chanterelle and also a wrinkled club. And both are edible. Where the wrinkled club isn't one that you'd, I guess, want to eat. I've never eaten either of them. Um, and apparently, chanterelle, being a mycorrhizal fungus, it needs to form an association with the roots of specific trees in order to grow, which will make it more difficult to try and cultivate at home because it needs to have a root. It makes a symbiotic relationship. It becomes codependent with the roots. It provides the roots with moisture, and something else that I can't remember. And in exchange, the roots provide the fungus with food, with carbohydrates. And so, anyways, I decided that I was going to take a sample of the chanterelle and the wrinkled club, take a piece of mycelium to agar from each of them, just to see, because I'm still learning, and so uh, I find that even more than learning through a textbook or reading or watching a video, I really learn best by hands on, and trial and error, mess up, learn. And so here's me just destroying the chanterelle, trying to pull the cap off. But since I've never actually held a chanterelle before this day, I didn't realize how wet and meaty they were, and so it took me a little bit more time to take the lid off, or to take the cap off. And then I totally smashed it trying to make a spore print. Probably isn't going to work, but I'm trying. And so hopefully that LED light isn't too bright for the video. Trying to figure out a way to best light what I'm doing. I don't have the best eyes. So, uh, anyways, that's off topic. So, yeah, not sure what else. I kind of spoke more quickly than the video was going, I guess. So, what I'm doing here is cooling off my X-Acto knife so that I can get myself a sample of this chanterelle here, slippery bugger. So here's where I pulled it apart to get a nice clean, hopefully as contamination free specimen as possible. And then, just like the cap, I have a dull X-Acto knife because I'm normally just cutting through agar. And I mean, how many butter knives do you know that are sharp? But I wasn't expecting, again, for it to be so thick and meaty. So, way to go, Chanterelle. You're thick and meaty. Um, Maybe next time I'll find some chicken of the woods. Uh, but anyways, I digress. Um, so I got two okay samples here. You know, we'll see how it goes. I'm not hopeful, but I'm not. That's the great thing about trying stuff is, you know, right now I just want to see how things work. So, uh, yeah, it's funny because I belong to a lot of online forums, or not belong to, but peruse online forums and Facebook groups, and I talked about doing this video, and nobody beforehand said, you know that you can't grow chanterelles inside, that it's very difficult, especially if you're trying to do it at scale, which I'm not trying. But because you have the, what are they, the saprophytic mushrooms, and then you have the parasitic mushrooms, and then you have the mycorrhizal mushrooms, fungus, and so the ones that need to have that root association are harder to cultivate at home. So, but what I'm wondering is, so it has to be very specific trees for like morels, or for the chanterelles. What I'm wondering is, so I'm what I want to do is, if growing out this agar, growing out the mycelium on this agar works, I'd like to try to inoculate a few different things and see if it works. It's not a tree, but will chanterelles form a mycorrhizal association with cannabis roots? Could you possibly grow chanterelles and cannabis in the same container? Um, or maybe morels and cannabis. Uh, I'm sure that the root structures and the way the roots are, it probably wouldn't, but has anybody tried it yet? And I mean, if you know, we don't know if something works until we try it. And usually I've found that every time there's anything new, anytime you tell somebody something new or an idea that's far different than the norm, people always make it seem like it's either a terrible idea, or you're insane, or it's always the way of the world. People always rebel against change until it becomes normal, and then they rebel against anybody who didn't accept it. And most people act like, I'm not going to make those kind of associations. I'm not trying to make absolutes. So there's the Wrinkly Club. Um, I actually thought it was a different mushroom. Props to my daughter Madison. She's the one who properly did identify that one. And it's very interesting to watch and see that there were three different mushrooms that we thought it could be. Uh, the first mushroom very rarely is ever found in the Pacific Northwest, so that ruled that one out. And then the second two looked both very similar, and in fact, I thought that that it looked closer to mine. Like I said, though, very, very, very similar. Very hard to tell the difference between the two, and. So, looking at our field guide book, we look to see where does it grow, as far as in what kind of substrate. Is it growing with pine needles? Is it growing next to this tree, that tree? And then that was how we wound up narrowing it down. And I'm sure most everyone who's watching this video is like, "Shut up, John. We know how mushroom identification works." But I'm still new to this when it comes to mushrooms, so I'm still really excited about it, and I've got that little kid excitement, and I don't ever plan on losing that little kid excitement, or at least I don't want to. Um, you know, I've I've just recently fallen in love with mushrooms, and in particularly mycelium, um, because I was already very fascinated with soil science from gardening and growing. Um, but, I mean, I am an Italian plumber, so, mushrooms and crazy underworld tubes, they kind of go hand in hand with my life. Anyways, again, I digress on my digression. So there's my samples. Bang. I hope you enjoyed this. Do that thing.